Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. It's a Friday getaway day for a weekend, which actually doesn't look all that bad across the Northeast, which we'll get to in a second. I want to take care first of what's left of Tropical Storm Beatriz on the Pacific side. For now, at least on the Atlantic side, no tropical cyclones are forecast to develop anytime during the next 5 days. And when we go to the Eastern Pacific, other than Beatriz, which is now inland and is a remnant low, no other tropical cyclones are forecast to develop. But we are interested in this because as we look on the satellite loop here at the midday hour, the actual center of the remnant low is somewhere in here in inland Mexico. But you'll notice that a lot of the convection now that's developing is moving northward into the Gulf of Mexico, and there's actually quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity going on in the southwest Gulf. Now, regardless of whether this winds up regenerating into anything, and I'm not really sure that it will, I would probably lean against it to some degree because of the fact that usually the southwest Gulf at the very beginning of June is not the climatologically ideal spot for development. Not that it can't happen, but I don't really, I'm not seeing it coming together, at least on some of the models. Some of the models are trying to organize a little low, but I think the bigger implication is that all this tropical moisture that's in the Gulf is going to be moving northward and just kind of getting involved with the daily development that occurs across the Gulf states. So you can see there's a fairly large area of moisture being indicated along the Gulf Coast right through the weekend. And it really doesn't develop any kind of surface low in the Gulf early on, although pressures are going to be low there. So, we'll pay attention to it and we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, let's jump to the weather in the Northeast because, I started to get more optimistic with Sunday. Sunday was problematic earlier in the week, and it has become a much different look for Sunday. So let me backtrack here, and I'm going to start with the 3-kilometer NAM model because it actually did a pretty good job with those thunderstorms the other day. Now, late this afternoon and this evening, there is a weak front that's going to be pushing through, and it does develop some thunderstorms across parts of Connecticut and into Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. And you can see there's a lot of little specks there, but it doesn't really develop into any kind of organized line. So I'm not thinking in terms of any severe weather. Now, there's a little disturbance that's dropping southeastward overnight and into tomorrow morning that produces clouds and actually does produce a few showers over parts of central New Jersey and northeastern Pennsylvania. It's a small disturbance. It goes through quick, and by 9 or 10 o'clock, it's gone. So I think there'll be some clouds with that and the chance that there could be a downpour or even a brief thunderstorm. I guess you can't rule that out. But if it does happen, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And then the rest of the day should be fine, and we'll break out into some sunshine. Now, the next system approaches for Sunday, and you can see it up here in the northern Great Lakes. Models have been tracking generally further north with this, so this almost acts like a warm front, cold front combination that affects the Northeast on Sunday. Now, this is the middle of Sunday afternoon, and it would certainly suggest that the weather will be dry along areas from easternmost Pennsylvania, except Northeast, and New Jersey, much of the southern areas of the Hudson Valley into Connecticut and Long Island, although a few specks of showers start to pop up. And then we get into some showers during the evening that move up into northwest New Jersey. But I think this, to me, says that the bulk of the weekend is going to be dry, and the bulk of Sunday is going to be dry as well. Now, we'll widen out. We do have a bit of a conundrum for early next week. I like that word, conundrum. So let's put the GFS up today. It doesn't want to load. That's nice. That's just dandy. Let me see if I can get one of the other models to load. And there we go. Okay, little hiccup. Seems to have worked itself through the system. And the GFS, sometimes you have to be careful when you see like these large areas of green. It does not mean that it's raining over that entire area. That is measurable precip during the period. So, that could have occurred over the course of 20 minutes and then done. But this system comes through on Monday, and you still have, low pressure into western Pennsylvania Monday afternoon that moves down to North Carolina and puts us in a bit of an onshore flow going into Tuesday. And you still see some wet weather potential here for Tuesday before it begins to pull out during Wednesday. When I see things like this, when it's disjointed, it becomes very difficult to forecast because, you can wind up through all of this with a fairly long stretch of weather where it doesn't do much of anything. And if you, look at the NAM, at least from, the GFS for Monday, you certainly can make the argument that a good chunk of Monday you might not be seeing much of anything in terms of rainfall in my area of the Northeast. You can see the scattered precipitation down across the Southeast until the low pulls away. Overall, the weather, I think the best way to describe it really is going to be unsettled. And in the West, there really isn't too much happening other than the standard stuff going on. There is a system that goes up into northern Montana and into Canada that produces some showers and storms over parts of the Rockies, and you get some more as you go into the middle of the next week, and then something more important approaching the Pacific Northwest coast. But in general, we are really looking at summertime, summertime mode here in terms of the overall pattern. And with respect to the upper air, as we take a look at that, I'm gonna back up one model run, and this way we can take it out all the way through. This is something, we have this trough in the east, of course, that pulls out, and we've been saying how another trough forms on the back side of it and rotates down and around, and you can see how it actually cuts an upper air storm off the Virginia coast on Thursday. I want to keep watch this with respect to the fact that if you have some kind of low, that's a surface low that's sitting off the Virginia coast with an onshore flow, it could imply long periods of clouds and maybe some rain. But in terms of the specific details, I'm not so sure yet. But I want to be a little careful with this for the latter part of next week. And then the overall pattern. I mean, there's a tendency for a ridge to want to build up in the Plains and Rockies with this sort of northwest flow here. From day 10 on. So this would put us now at June 12th and beyond. This would be a pretty dry flow of air, and would be not quite on the edge, but close to the edge of some rather warm air if this were the case, along about the middle of the month. But you still have a very busy upper air and a tendency for troughs to keep wanting to form in the eastern part of the U.S. So, as long as that's the case, you're not going to be able to get warm for more than a day, very warm for more than a day or two. And there's certainly, you would not be able to create, say, heat wave conditions that would last more than something that would last, say, 3, 4, 5 days or more. You need a ridge, a locked-in ridge in position in the east, and that just does not seem to be the case. So, in the absence of any major development here, I think we can just pretty well put it to bed with respect to the weekend. That again, I want to emphasize, it is not going to be that bad. I'm going to just pop up the 12-kilometer NAM model and show you that even from this respect, I go back to talking about Monday. It doesn't really show very much. Here's that little system for Saturday morning, this little system that goes through Saturday morning with some clouds and some showers, and then it improves after that. And then much of Sunday looks okay until you get into Sunday afternoon. You get some showers up in the Hudson Valley and in northern Pennsylvania. This is a little different than the 3-kilometer NAM, but it keeps much of New Jersey and even a good chunk of Long Island out of it until late in the day or Sunday night. And in fact, in New Jersey, it really doesn't produce very much at all. And you notice even on Monday, there's scattered areas of showers, but nothing that's overly organized. So we'll just have to defer to the next model runs. I'm not I'm not really all that impressed with all this going forward. There'll be some minor interruptions over the next 2 days, but otherwise, to me, the pattern is just kind of quiet, and we should enjoy the relative tranquility for the time being. All right, folks, have a great rest of your Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be at the Sayville Library on Long Island tomorrow at 2 o'clock to give a weather talk on what's going on weather-wise and hurricane season-wise and any other subject matter you'd like to bring up. That's in Sayville, New York on Long Island at 2 p.m. And you can find a link to that on my website at meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Angry Ben sees uncertainty in the long range too, and you can see his latest post on nycweathernow.com. And thank you for watching. And there's my Cody giving a bark because he wants his lunch. Thanks for being here on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would by hitting the little red subscribe button. It's absolutely free. You get notified when new videos come up. You get to participate in the conversation that goes on, and sometimes it does get lively. Some people like it hot and some people don't, and they make their feelings known. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you on Saturday.